Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Now there's another war that's developing, of course, and that's the one in the presidential campaign. This war is shaping up between Clinton and Trump. And as part of that, we see Hillary attacking Trump on the so-called war on women. Here's a clip.
What he said yesterday about you, does that have to do with your gender? Is that part of what's going on?
He thrives on that kind of exchange. I think he has to answer for what he says, and I assume that, others will, make the larger point about his language. It's not the first time he's demonstrated a penchant for sexism.
And joining me now is Leanne McAdoo, and of course, Leanne, Trump wasted no time in firing back at Hillary Clinton, reminding her that she's throwing stones in a glass house.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we knew that the Democratic Party was going to be using this war on women because, of course, Hillary would be their front runner. But I don't think that the DNC expected to be going up against a candidate that has absolutely no filter. So he tweeted this out on December 26th. He says, Hillary Clinton has announced that she is letting her husband out to campaign, but he's demonstrated a penchant for sexism. So inappropriate. So he's basically saying, look, be careful, because if you want to go there, I'm going to go there with you, Hillary. And, so it's just interesting to see that now their establishment media, the DNC, they're having to deal with this sort of firecracker that they weren't expecting. And so let's take a look at how the DNC is framing this story. Here is the DNC chair, Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Donald Trump or any candidate on the other side of the aisle would raise Bill Clinton as somehow a negative to their peril. I think every poll I've ever seen shows that if President Clinton were a candidate tomorrow, he'd be reelected. He presided at that time over the longest period of prosperity sustained up to that point, finished his term very popular, and continues to be one of the most admired elected officials and former elected officials and men in the world.
So yeah, Debbie Wasserman Schill, as I like to call her. She's warning people off of criticizing Clinton.
Yeah, well, and she's also basically saying it's okay to sexually assault people. You'll still be revered in their party. But that's not it. This one is major. So this is CNN asking this question. They want to know, is Bill Clinton sexist, or does he simply just like women?
We set the record straight. Is Bill Clinton sexist, or does he simply like women? He had many high-powered women in his cabinet, everybody from, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who he appointed to the Supreme Court, but then he had Attorney General Janet Reno, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, Donna Shalala. So is he sexist? Is that a fair?
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that, he probably didn't want to hook up with Janet Reno, okay? So they're pointing out all of these women that he had in his cabinet, and, that's not sexist. How is that? They're not talking about the sexual assaults.
We're not talking about the women under his desk. And that's the issue, You talk about the cabinet women and everything, but this is far beyond sexism. This is about sexual assault. I mean, that is way beyond just having a condescending attitude towards women.
No, absolutely. And this is why now Breitbart, John Nolte at Breitbart points out that this is the smoking gun. The GOP establishment cannot beat Hillary Clinton, period. And he points out how Anna Navarro, who is a confidant of Jeb Bush, she's very much part of the GOP establishment. She was on CNN speaking with the anchor there, and the anchor said, Anna, the war on women argument has worked against Republicans in the past. Do you think that this is, the best defense using Bill Clinton? And she basically sort of laughs it off, and she's like, no, leave it alone. If Hillary and Bill can work it through their marriage and get it all worked out, that's their business, not ours. But this has nothing to do with Hillary or Bill Clinton. This is someone that has a repeated record of sexual assault, disrespecting women, taking advantage of young interns, things like that. And so here we have the establishment media, once again, determining that certain things are off limits. You can't talk about, we saw this with Obama, how you weren't allowed to talk about Reverend Wright, Bill Ayers, Tony Rezko, the hidden records, Benghazi. These are things you're not allowed to talk about. And so obviously the sexual assaults with Bill Clinton, they say it's off limits because he's revered, and he even won an award from his great work with women. And
of course, you got this double standard. I mean, when they were trying to balance the budget, Newt Gingrich came up with cuts. They called him the Gingrich who stole Christmas. And yet when the budget did get balanced, largely due to the bubble economy that the Federal Reserve was creating, Bill Clinton got all the credit for that. So
Right.
yeah, you have this interesting set of double standards that they play by, and Donald Trump is not going to play by that standard.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, the fact that they made such a big deal that Trump used the word schlonged, okay, which people can see that that's a term that is used it's kind of a Yiddish term, it's used, but the establishment media was using the term teabagging and calling these people teabaggers as if that wasn't an offensive term. That's totally okay to bring that into the political lexicon, but, you know, don't say schlonged if you're talking about
And that doesn't
Hillary
have any
Clinton.
other context other than a scatological one.
Yeah,
right? So
exactly. No, so that's something that you can't. And then, of course, you know, it's not just people like Donald Trump. Of course, Rand Paul also brought this up, saying that the Democrats, how dare they talk about the war on women when the media has always covered up Bill Clinton's sexual assaults. But also, too, Hillary Clinton was the one who first called all of these women coming after Bill bimbos. Yeah. And she was calling this the bimbo eruptions in the 90s. So these women have come out and said that, you know, shame on you. Hillary wrote the book on terrorizing women, and it's a joke that she would run on women's issues. So these are the women who were actually victimized by Bill Clinton. And so absolutely this should be brought up within this election cycle. It's very important. This is someone that's going to be in the White House. Yeah.
Well, of course, it's not just the war on women, but of course the Democrats, as well as the Republican establishment, has been involved in a war on the working class. And I think that's what they're really worried about.
Yeah.
Those people see how they've been eviscerated under the bipartisan policies. And the only person who is really pushing back against that is Donald Trump. And that's what they're really worried about, because that's something that's going to break down. It's going to be like the Reagan Democrats, I think, and when this comes to the general election. Thank you very much, Leanne. And when we come back, we're going to have some special reports and then an interview with Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America, talking about what's ahead in the coming year, the attacks on our freedom, the attacks on our legal system.
Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're gonna crash and gonna feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.